थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायण स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराण मुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतमृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनी आम त्वाम् अनुसन्धामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी नमो अस्तु ते व्यास विशाल बुद्धे फुल अरविंद आयत पत्र नेत्र येन तव्या भारत तैल पूर्णः प्रज्वलितो ज्ञानमया प्रदीपः प्रपन्न पारिजाताय तोत्र वेत्र एकपानये ज्ञान मुद्राय कृष्णाय गीता अमृतुहे नमः सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दुग्धा गोपाल नंदना पार्थो वत्सा सुधीर भोगता दुग्धम गीता अमृतम महत वसुदेव वसुतम देवम कंस चानूरमर्दनम देवकी परमानंदम कृष्णम वंदे जगद्गुरुम भीष्म द्रोण तटा जयद्रथ जला गांधार नीलोत्पला शल्य ग्राहवती कृपेन वहने कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थाम विकर्ण घोर मकरा दुर्योधन अवर्तने सो तीर्णा खलु पांडवै नदी कवर्तका केशवा पाराशरे वत्सरोजमलं गीता अर्थगंधोटकम् नानाख्यानक केसरम हरि कथा संबोधन अबोधितम् लोके सज्जन षटपदय रह एपिये मानम मुदा भूयाद भारत पंकजम कलिमल प्रध्वंसी न श्रेयसे मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुम लंघ्यते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानंद माधवम् यं ब्रह्म वरुण इंद्र रुद्र मरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्ये स्तवे वेदै सांग पद क्रम उपनिषदै गायन्ति यम सामगा ज्ञानवस्थे तद्गतेन मनसः पश्यन्ति यम योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुषुर असुरगणा देवाय तस्मै नमः. We are on chapter 14 in this class. Gunatraya Vibhag Yoga, the division of the three gunas. And we are almost towards the end of this chapter. Verse number 17, that's where we're going to start. So Lord Krishna is saying, Satvat sanjayate jnanam rajasa lobh evacha parmad moho tamsaha bhavata ajnanam evacha. Satvat, from purity, sanjayate, arises, jnanam, knowledge. Rajasa, from activity, lobh, greed. Ev means even, cha means and. Parmad moho, carelessness and delusion. Tamsaha, from tamsikta. Bhavata, rise. Agyanam, ignorance. Ev means even, cha means and. Knowledge arises from sattva. So if you want to be more knowledgeable, cultivate more sattvikta in your personality. So knowledge arises from sattva. Greed from rajas. Carelessness, delusion, and also ignorance arise from tamas. Choice is ours. But these are the basic facts. So the functions of the gunas, while they appear in our mind and intellect, that's what's explained here. And we know from sattva rises wisdom, because naturally when the mind is pure and serene, when there's the least agitation in it, the light emerging through it is steady and properly focused. We see that. You can it. Have an argument with somebody. Right after that, pick up a book which you can understand ordinarily, but after a little argument, you won't be able to focus. There's an agitation. So we need peace, serenity, calmness. Those are the qualities of the sattvikta in order to enhance knowledge in us. So the result of the predominant sattva in our mind is ultimately the rediscovery of the self. Because why we want more and more knowledge? Because with the help of the knowledge, we want to know who we are. So that's why sattvikta is important. That's why knowledge is important. That's why calmness and serenity is important. The experience of the pure wisdom is to know who you are. That will happen with the help of sattva. Greed from rajas. When the mind is constantly erupting with desires, it will be continuously in a state of agitation. Desires. And natural anxiety is to pacify them. And first instinct is, desire is there, let me fulfill it. But we all know that fulfillment of the desires is not the solution. You fulfill one and 10 more erupts. So that's why he said greed from rajas. Endless demands in our mind expresses its greed. And then tamas veils the intellect. When tamsikta is predominating in our mind, we cannot discriminate, we cannot discern, we will not know the difference between right and wrong. We don't have the ability to reject the wrong and accept the right. So tamas veils the capacity to perceive rightly the world outside, and it destroys the power to judge, power to discern. Okay, so now he told us before that all these three are present in every human being. But with our own sadhana, we got to see which one we want to cultivate so that predominantly that state of mind we have most of the time. Okay. So a person who who's deluded will also miscalculates the world, expects the good results, but not the good actions. Always wants. So, and which is very impossible. If you don't do right, we won't get right. But the tamas doesn't understand that. Okay, now in the next verse, he's talking about when we leave this body. Because we all know under this philosophy, we leave means the soul leaves. With the soul goes this mind equipment. So aggregate of this mind equipment, mind, intellect, ego, and cheta, this will all go with the soul. So where will we go? Udharvam gachanti satavsta, madhye tishtanti rajasa, jaganye gunya vritistha, adho gachanti tamasa. Udharvam, upwards. Gachanti, go. Sattva satha, seated in sattva. Madhye, in the middle. Tishtanti, dwell. Rajasa, the rajasic. Jaganya. Jaganya means the lowest. So Jaganya guna vritistha, abiding in the function of the lowest guna. Adho, downwards. Gachanti, go. Tamsa, the tamsic. Those who are abiding in sattva go upwards. Upward means there is improvement in the journey. They are moving towards the ultimate goal. The Rajasic dwell in the middle, and the Tamasic, abiding in the function of the lowest guna, go downwards. So in the ladder of evolution, we can conceive these stages of developments. The lowest state of development is seen in the vegetable and the animal kingdoms. The lowest. The middle stage of evolution is seen in human beings, where there's a intelligence also, health also, brightness also. And the higher state of existence is in the disembodied heavenly beings. In certain traditions, it's called angels. And according to Hindu tradition, it's called devatas. Okay? So here evolution really means a greater awareness of experience, a lesser amount of agitation, and a sharper power of intelligence. So in other words, more we move upward, these are the qualities we'll see in us. This is the yardstick to measure our evolution. Even it's not only after death we'll see, even while living also. While studying, while doing our sadhana, doing our duties, we got to see, is there a less and less agitation in our mind? Is there a more awareness? Are we making decisions with more awareness or not? Is our intelligence becoming sharper or not? So while living every day, we got to see, are we evolving or are we going downward, regressing? It's not only after letting go of this body. Each day we got to see this. Okay? So in the stone life, there's a lowest evolution, almost zero evolution, because there's no awareness of the world. In the plant life comes a little bit awareness. So consciousness is dimly started. And in animal kingdom, we see a little bit more consciousness. It becomes clearer and a little bit vivid. And in a human being, the greatest being of this earth, fullest consciousness and sharpest intellect. But that we don't want to stop as a human being. We want to rise above this. Okay? So in this verse, clearly he talks about the reincarnation of the souls in their next birth, which is linked to the gunas that predominate their personality. This can be compared to the students applying for college admission after completing their high school. The students with the good qualifying criteria, the highest SAT scores, ACT scores, they'll go to the best universities, Ivy League as we say. The mediocre will just go to ordinary schools. And a person who cannot even pass those tests will go to may not get any admission in any school. Or sometimes there could be dropout from the high school itself. So the same thing happens in this school of life also. Somebody has a question?
Urmil.
Yes, Urmil.
In 1419, I like you to explain the wise people who see that the agent of all actions is the three modes of material nature.
Okay, yeah, we haven't reached.
I would like to be able to understand agent of all actions a little better.
Sure. Yeah, we are still talking about 18. So yeah, next is the 19. Okay. So over here in 18, Sattva will take us upwards. That's why we always hear from the wise people, stay sattvic, live a sattvic life. It will help us. That is not the end of this journey, but it will help us to move upward. Sattvic life. And Rajasic dwell in middle and Tamasic go downward. Every Monday we study Bhagavad Puran. The similar kind of a verses over there too. Bhagavad Puran. Satve pralina swaryanti nar lokam rajoleya tamoleya tu niryam yanti mam eva nirgunaha. Those who are in Sattvagun reach the higher celestial abodes. Those who are in Rajagun return to the earth planet. And those who are in Tamogun go to the nether worlds, the lower worlds. So this is the whole diagram of our Karma Yoni. We have the choice. Right now, as human beings, we have the choice whether we want to go upward or whether we want to stay where we are or we want to go downward. Choice is ours. So when a person free to enjoy the Godhood as being totally released from all these contacts, they're not attached to these subtle attachments. But how do we reach there though? Because right now he has been talking about going upward, staying in the middle, or going downward. But how do we get detached from all of it? How do we find a tangent so that we can become one with God? Because that's our goal. So understanding three gunas is important. Effect of the three gunas is important. Symptoms of the three gunas are important. But how to let go of these three gunas is very important. Okay? And that is the path of liberation, moksha. So then he says, that's what he is answering in verse number 19. And that's what Urmil is saying. Explain that. Obviously, Urmil wants to understand it, practice it, and take a quicker flight. Okay. Na anyam gunebhya kartaram yada drashta anupashyante gunebhya char cha param veti madbhavam sa adhigachati. No means not anyam others gunebhya, then the gunas. Kartaram, agent. Yada means when, drashta the seer, anupashyati beholds. Gunebhya, then the gunas, the qualities. Cha means and, param higher, veti knows. Mad bhavam, my being. Sa means he, adhigachati attains to. When the seer beholds no agent other than the gunas and knows him, this him is with a capital H, him, who is higher than the gunas. And who is higher than the gunas? The creator of these gunas, the God. So him who is higher than the gunas, he attains to my being. So Lord Krishna now shows the simple solution for breaking out of their bondage. Bondage even from the Satvikta also. When the seer beholds no agent other than the gunas and knows him who is higher than the gunas. See, so far the thought was developed and painted a pretty, almost like a miserable picture of the spirit which is entangled in the three gunas. It's like under the web of three gunas. It's almost like if a person who is standing in the train or sitting in the train, no matter how steady you are, train is moving, you are still moving with the train. You could be sitting very silently, but you're attached to the train. So how do we become a seer? We get off the train. When we get off the train, then we are not moving with the train. So that's what he is recommending it to us. Become a seer. Become a seer who sees only him and detach from this web of the gunas. So we got to stand on the platform. The train alone moves, not you. That's what we have to experience. To stand apart from the mind. Gunas is what? In the mind also. So stand apart from the mind by ending all the identifications with it. In other words, complete freedom from any kind of a entanglement. You will say that I cannot function that in this world. That's why the yogis, they created this scheme for us. At least 15 minutes a day, half an hour a day, where you stand apart from the gunas, stand apart from this maya in your meditation. That's why this great symbol, detachment from the body, detachment from the mind, detachment from the intellect. No matter how sattvic they are, it could be a beautiful, functioning and healthy body, but detachment from it. I'm not my body. No matter how much I like it, at least for that half an hour. No matter how good my mind is, detachment from that mind and detachment from the intellect also. Seer joined with the he, God. This is what they are recommending. So when the seer beholds, this is the art of disentangling ourselves from our thought processes within. And this is the art of meditation, guys. Okay, the real meditation is this. So a meditator who is capable of doing so will behold, will experience subjectively the state of pure knowledge, uncontaminated by the dances of the thoughts. Otherwise, the thoughts are dancing in the air. Whether we are saying the mantras or whether we are seeing the light, we got to rise above all that. All that helps initially, but ultimately nothing. Soul merged with the super soul. And that is called the seeing. That anupashyati, that is what that seeing is. It's not a seeing of a table or a seeing of a color or a seeing of some image. It's seeing in the highest form. Because we know God cannot be seen. He's not an object. He's a subject. Subject that perceives through us, that feels in us, that thinks with us. That's why great rishis, they use the word anupashyati, behold, subjective experience. And this experience becomes so complete, so convincing that these rishis, they say, I saw it. Because there's no doubt about it. There's no confusion about it. It's right in front of you. No more any speculation about such an experience. It's right in front of us. So no agent other than the gunas. So the experiencer of the self not only realizes himself to be the infinite, but also understands that his ego, which was previously claiming to be the agent in all his activities, was none other than these gunas themselves. Because gunas govern, They direct the entire thought process at all times in every one of us. Because that's why gunas are called the subtle body. So gunas and no agent other than the gunas. Okay, is it clear, Urmil, now? Okay, so it's just like who is higher than the gunas? Who is the creator of the gunas? Beholding only him.
Yeah. See, why I ask, because if I don't understand fully, and if tomorrow somebody says, what does this mean in your book? I get nervous that I must thoroughly know
Yes.
each word.
Yeah.
That's why I was not
Plus
very
for your
clear
own
on.
understanding also, not just to explain, but
Yeah,
you I have become a serious Gita student. So
I
for you,
did understand conceptually, but to be
yeah,
able
to
to,
explain it, yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
I didn't have enough.
So higher than the gunas is who created. Just like a parent is higher than the children. Okay, in the worldly sense, parents are higher, grandparents are higher. When we make that family chart also, ancestors higher and higher. The same way, who is higher than the gunas? Who created the gunas? Which is God. This creation was created by God. Okay, and the person who knows this, a person who has seen it subjectively, who has understood also. See, first understanding comes, then the seeing comes. Okay, so, and then at the end he says he attains to my being, because that is the goal. So a person who has transcended his own mind and intellect has positively rediscovered himself. That is a person, we call it a man of wisdom. Okay, otherwise we are all entangled in this prakriti. Now, how do we, what do we need to do to attain this? We don't know how to stand apart yet. Theoretically, we know all this now. We have studied it again and again and again. In Bhagavad Gita also several times Lord Krishna has explained it. But how do we do it? That's what he's going to tell us in the rest of the chapter. Gunan etan atitye trin dehi deh sam udhvan janam amrityu jara dukhe vimuktaha amritam ashnute. Gunan, gunas, etan, these, atitya, having crossed. Trin, three, dehi, the embodied. Deha sam udhvan, out of which the body is evolved. Janam mrityu jara dukhe, from birth, death, decay, and pain. In that sequence is written. Janam is the birth, mrityu is the death, jara is the decay, and dukh is the pain. Vimuktaha, freed. Amritam, immortality. Ashnute, attains to. The embodied one, having crossed beyond these three gunas, out of which the body is evolved. And not just the physical body, the other bodies also. Is freed from birth, death, decay, and pain, and attains to immortality. Okay, so these birth, death, decay, and pain, they are related to the bodies, not to the Atma. But we have to learn how to cross beyond these gunas. Because Atma doesn't have these gunas. The bodies, they are made up of these gunas. They keep on fluctuating between these gunas. So, three gunas are the expressions of ignorance, greed, knowledge. That's what he has mentioned earlier. While we are living in this physical body, sure, Vedas, they prescribe a number of codes of conduct, social duties, rituals, regulations for us human beings. Those are prescribed duties or codes of conduct. They are together called Karam Dharam, Varna Ashram Dharam, Sharirik Dharam. So they are all for the body, mind, our conduct. They definitely help us elevate us from Tamogun, Rajogun, and Sattvagun. There's a reason for all those codes of conduct. But to reach Sattvagun is not enough. We have learned that. It is also a form of bondage. But when we transcend all these three, then Maya no longer binds us. Okay? And we got to transcend all these three while we are in this human body. We cannot say that after my death I will transcend it. No, this work we need to do while we are in this body. That's why the stages of life has been given so clearly to us. First, the brahmacharya ashram, sure, we need to learn this body. The grist ashram, when we are as a householder predominantly, we learn about our mind. Then in the third ashram, which is a vanprastha ashram, the retirement age, we are supposed to learn about our intellect. And in the fourth ashram, sannyasa ashram, we got to learn how to transcend them all. Transcend them. So if we live a life according to this, then liberation or this ultimate goal is feasible. Otherwise, if we are obsessed about this body, even in our fourth stage in life, then definitely we'll come back here again. So we got to live a life according to the Vedas, they prescribed it to us. So now Arjun asks question, because he is really listening very carefully. Even though he is standing over there in the middle of the war zone, it's like a sea of army on both sides. But look at his question. He says, Kelinge trin gunan, etan atita bhavati prabhu, kim achara katham cha etan trin gunan ativartate. There are three definite questions in this simple looking verse. Ke means by what? Linge, by marks or symptoms. Everything is known through the symptoms. Trin, three, gunan, gunas, etan, these, atita, crossed. Bhavati becomes Prabho, O Lord. Kim acharaha. Kim means what? Achar means conduct. So what is his conduct? Katham, how? Cha means and. Etan, these. Trin, three. Gunan, gunas. Ati vartate. Goes beyond. That means transcends. Arjun said, what are the symptoms of him? Or how do we recognize him? What are the marks of him who has crossed over the three gunas? Oh Lord, what is his conduct? That means how does he live in this world? And how does he go beyond these three gunas? So how do we recognize him? And how does he behave? And how did he do? How did he pass this? So three questions. See, every student, disciple has the full freedom to ask, to seek, to understand properly the logic of this deep philosophy. That's why all the Vedic scriptures, they are in a question answer form. That's why in our classes also, we like to keep this tradition alive, asking the questions, because we all have the right for the answers. Okay? Because understanding alone can give us a true appreciation of this philosophy. Because if you don't even understand it, it's not just a memorization of these verses, it's totally understanding of these verses. So unless we appreciate an idea, we will never be able to live the idea. That's why question answer is important. So, and Rishi Vyasa, who wrote this Bhagavad Gita, he is really illustrating this freedom beyond all traces of doubts. I have given a handout in the past where all the questions in throughout Bhagavad Gita, Arjun has asked in different chapters. It's like a whole handout. So, Jyoti, I would like you to put that handout on website. So new students, they can print it out. Okay. So it's like a Arjun is using that freedom from time to time to ask questions. And this way, students like us also are alert. He is asking, hey, do I have that question too? And how is Lord Krishna answering? And you will see that questions are fewer, very direct, and answers are elaborate. So now look at this, 3 questions just in one verse. Sometimes we like to ask long questions. No, our questions should be precise, short. We should think it through. What am I asking? Am I clear what am I asking or not? That is the tradition. Okay. So Arjun is asking 3 definite questions, and you will see that first question is answered with the next verse. Verse number 22. And what is the first question? What are the marks by which a man who has gone beyond the influences of these 3 gunas can be recognized? That is the first question. And the second question is answered in the verse number 23, 24, and 25. What would be in that state of perfection his relationship with the world outside? How is his behavior among us who are still under the persecution of the 3 gunas? That is a conduct. How does he speak to us? How does he relate to us? And verse number 26 answers the third question. How does such a man of perfection conquer his inner conflicts and confusions and entanglements? And how did he attain this freedom? Beautiful questions. We should have these questions too. And we'll see that the way Lord Krishna has answered. He said the illumined person does not hate ignorance. When he sees it, nor get implicated in it. See, a worldly minded person gets overly concerned with the condition of the world. They keep on brooding about the conditions. They spend their time and energy brooding about it. The state of the things in the world. They don't do anything about it. They just waste time in talking about it. How awful. How bad. A illumined person will not. So the enlightened souls, they strive for the welfare for the human beings. But at the same time, they realize that the world is ultimately in the hands of God. They simply have to do their duty to the best of their ability. Leave the rest in the hands of God. So our duty is to purify ourselves. That's why, what did Mahatma Gandhi say? His famous words, be the change that you wish to see in the world. So the wise people, they remember this. They do more work on themselves. They don't waste their time talking about the conditions. I mean, if they want to do something about the world, they do, but they don't waste their energy on it. And this is what Patanjali Rishi, what did he call this? Upeksha vritti. Upeksha. The mind is made from material energy. It contains three modes. We have seen that. So it is natural for the mind to be subjected to the influence of the gunas. So when we identify ourselves with our mind, then we are losing this battle. We got to constantly remember that mind is just an equipment given to us. We are not our mind. So more and more, we should see the mind as separate from us. Okay? Mind made out of the Maya. We are something which is part of God. If we can keep this distinction more and more, it's like alive in us, we'll be able to transcend these gunas. We'll be able to disassociate from Maya. Mind is just an instrument. In Sanskrit, it's called upadhi. Okay? So now we have 15 minutes. Choice is yours. I can either finish this whole chapter or just stop it here and let you ask questions. Your class, your decision.
I think let's go to questions.
Let's go to questions. People have questions? Okay, all right. Let's just have a little dialogue, question answer, and then at the end we will.
I'd like to finish the chapter. Do I have a vote?
Reverse Hari Sujata, right?
Sorry. Oh.
Finish the chapter.
Because 15 minutes, I won't be able to finish it. So to me, I think it's better. Yeah, no, I won't be able to finish it. 15 minutes is, I'll be going over
Your
a
judgment.
lot of shlokas still left.
a lot of shlokas still left, and they're very deep shlokas.
Okay.
So to me, I think that ideally, let's just do it next week.
Question answer are better.
Because we got to give 5 minutes for the chanting also. So we don't.
Question answers are important, they bring the clarity.
Huh?
Question answers are important, they bring clarity to.
Yeah, let's just have some questions.
So Kim has a question, Kim.
कुछ और खाना?
Yes. Because you know what happens is, next week we are here again, right?
Yeah.
And extra cost.
No, it's just thirst. That's all.
I know. Just this will give you a chance to absorb what you just heard. Go over these. Just remember that these 3 questions in the rest of the chapter. Okay, first answer to the first question in the next verse. After that, 3 verses, the answer to the second question. And the last, or 26th, I think there are 27 verses because he um, ends it with 27th. Yeah. So verse number 26, the third question's answer. Okay. So look into it yourself also. But right now, let me see who is asking.
Kim has a question.
Yes, Kim.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
It's two questions. You just mentioned the mind is an instrument, and you said a Sanskrit word, upada. If you could please explain that. And
Upadhi. Upadhi.
okay, the second question is anupashyanti. You said is seeing subjectively. Could you please clarify seeing subjectively, right? Versus
Yeah, subjectively means, see, there is a subject and there's an object, right? Object is anything other than us.
Yes.
So when we see subjectively, subject is the one which is really doing the seeing. That is subjectively.
Okay.
See, object is all the scenes, the Prakriti is object. The entire Prakriti is object. This body is an object. This mind is an object. Intellect is an object. Ego is an object. What is not object is the Atma, the soul, and the super soul.
Yes. So anupashyanti just means seeing that clearly. Yes.
That clearly, it's like there's no doubt about it.
I see.
So that's what subjectively seeing means.
Okay.
Okay.
And upadhi.
Upadhi means upadhis are all these layers of our personality are upadhis. Body is an upadhi, mind is an upadhi, intellect is an upadhi, ego is an upadhi. They are called upadhis. Okay, those are all layers of our personality. Atma is not an upadhi. Atma is who we are.
But the root of the Sanskrit word means something like instrument or equipment.
Instruments or equipment. Yeah,
equipment.
either one.
Okay,
You can use
I
that.
see.
Yeah, in English, that's what it is. Okay.
Wow. Okay. Thank you so much.
Good, good, good. Anybody else?
Sujata?
Unmute yourself, Sujata.
I was saying that I read somewhere that you have to make a distinction between the seer and the seen. That's the whole difference between the subject and the object.
Yeah.
Driga Drishya Vivek is what I understood it as, you know.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, that's right. The distinction between the Atma and the Prakriti. See, we have gotten entangled into the Prakriti. And that entanglement we have to solve. Okay? Because what do we think we are? The name given to us, or the body which we have, or our qualifications, our achievements. We even get so upset when somebody says something to us which doesn't suit us. Those are all entanglements. Okay? So as we move higher and higher, we can see it better and better. The higher you go, the better you can see. Right? So anybody else?
Raj Mittal.
Yes, Raj.
Hello, Hershey. Namaskar. So I see there is Drishta, that's Atma who's seeing.
Yes.
And then there is whole of Prakriti, which
Drishya, which is called Drishya.
Drishya. And then where does the Supreme fit in?
Supreme is part of, Supreme is seeing all the drashtas.
And how do we see Supreme?
How do we see? We just, as we go higher and higher, we see there's no difference between me and him. Because that ultimate drashta Where is he? Everywhere. There's no place where the drashta is not. We start feeling the oneness with that drashta. And that's what the samadhi is. You have heard the term samadhi?
Yes, yes.
So meditation takes us to the samadhi. See, there's a upadhi and there's a samadhi. Similar sounding words. Okay? Upadhi, we are under the influence of these conditions. Samadhi, that equilibrium, the equanimity is taking us above this maya, samadhi. Okay?
So there's like soul and super soul.
Yeah, super
There
soul.
is Drishta and
Yeah.
Lord Supreme looking
Lord
at
Supreme,
all the
which is everywhere. Yes, yes. And when we experience it in our samadhi, then that will be our, right now you can, we know only theoretically, but when you go into the samadhi, you will see that it's everywhere. I was just looking at the wrong place. It was right in front of me, but I was just looking around. That's why they say all you have to do is turn your face around. Right now our face is turned towards Maya. We have to turn it around and face it towards God. That's all. Just turning the faces towards the right place. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's again, it's knowledge helps us, but after the knowledge, sadhana helps us. So last week somebody said there is so much to do. Actually, there is not so much to do at all. In the world, there is so much to do. To live like a yogi is nothing to do. Nothing to do. It's the easiest life. So we got to just have a little discipline, practice that way. The whole life becomes beautiful, no burden. Whom are we trying to impress? We are all one. What are we trying to hoard? Nothing gonna go with us. Why are we becoming so greedy? That's Rajsikta. So when we look at it through the right eyes, which Lord Krishna is giving us, life is beautiful and not much to do. Okay, don't feel burdened. Okay, the world gives us burden. Spirituality does not. It makes us light. There's no competition. And this all can be achieved in a matter of seconds. Nobody says that it will take thousands of years or thousands of lives. It can happen like that. Okay, anybody else?
Hershey, when does the sannyas ashram start?
The fourth stage in life, whenever you want to start it. Ideally, when you are, see, human life was supposed to be 100 years. So that's why they just broke it down into 25, 25, 25, 25. But some people, they feel detached even when they are a teenager. They start the sannyas, but very few people do that. Okay, so once you are done with your duties, household duties, then spend some time with your guru, have a deep understanding of the scriptures, and start working on detaching. Sannyas really means detachment. So So it can happen anytime, but definitely around 75, because we don't know how long we're going to live. But hopefully, if we are taking care of ourselves, we'll live a little longer. I mean, unless some accident happens, that is not in our hands right now. That also, according to the Prarabdha, something will happen. But no later than 75. Start detaching from this mind. More and more attention towards that higher purpose. Less and less entanglement with the kids and the grandkids and the house and the, just give away, detach. Ultimately, it's going to go away. When it's pulled from you, it's painful. When it's given, it's joyful.
Great.
Okay?
Thank you.
Isn't it like a very beautiful feeling when we give, but when somebody snatches it, because it's going to be snatched, then leaving this body will be very difficult. But if you have already given, detached, connected, then it's going to be pleasurable to meet our beloved. We are waiting for that. Okay? So again, the choice is ours. God has given us choice at every step of the way. Okay? So if no more questions, Manny, if you can just play some tune. And again, thank you very much for your questions, for your participation, for coming to the class. Appreciate it.
He's my miracle child. I've had 10 miscarriages, and I was never able to have any.
Thank you, Manny.
Sorry, the ad came through.
So how does your